if I sit right on top of the fucking router, I can hear you guys. It's awesome. This Chromebook is great. I want my laptop out of jail.
Was his laptop impounded?
Oh, yeah. They took all my stuff. They have hours and hours and hours of my homemade porn to watch for inferiority complex.
The outcomes that they produce may be negative. Like, for example,
So,
muting everyone in room 2. Don't feel bad. Just muting you.
oh yeah.
Muting everyone in room 2. Don't feel bad. I'm just muting you.
I wouldn't say that I'm sick of feelings. In some ways, I'm sick of rationalizations. I'm not really sick of rationalizations. I wouldn't want to get rid of them. It's just that I overuse them sometimes when I'm not being accurate with them. Earlier in my life, I valued rationalizing over accuracy.
I wouldn't have much without rationalization, so I'm not going to be tired of it.
Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Everything's going.
Doing battle with coding.
Battle with coding, yeah.
Not the sexiest thing in the world.
How are the flutes?
Running around all over the place.
I see.
This fucking retrograde Mars, man, it just hits me in the feels.
I think people are room bouncing.
Well, because it's like if it wasn't fucking.
Yes, this is the best room. This room is least moist.
Yeah, I don't tend to bring a great deal of moisture to the table.
Someone bring Audra in here. I like how Taylor was just like, Josh, are you trying to do that thing again where you get drunk and try and like fucking, you know the thing he said earlier?
Mm-hmm.
That is why we miss Taylor. Because it makes good progress. Right, Jeremy?
Yeah, as long as he's not shutting other people down.
Join the dark side, Jeremy. You're right there at the doorstep.
I kind of am the dark side.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
They don't love us. Oh, there we go.
It's okay. We have Anna. Anna, the INFP. Don't do it. Don't eat the habanero.
I'll wait for him to do another one. If he's cool with what that turns out to be, then I'll suggest we ramp it up to the next level, another pepper, and we can go as high as he wants. I don't have anybody to adventure with, so it's a nice opportunity. It's fun for me. And you're welcome to join the party.
We need to organize an event. We need to organize it. Are you willing to acknowledge that?
Sure. What kind of event do you envisage?
A night of beer and habanero.
Habanero is a good start.
Right.
See, for me, though, personally, I don't know how high I can go. So if other people are wanting to throw down and there's some people that have a high tolerance, then that would be a fun opportunity for me to see how high I can go. But I'm not interested in like a contest or where we're competing and, you know, all that kind of macho crap. There's a fine line. I do not enjoy seeing other people overdo it and then sit there suffering for 15 minutes. It's not what I'm about.
But sometimes it's necessary.
I don't know. I mean, before, you know, maybe 20 years ago, before I had a tolerance, I tried some exceedingly hot stuff, and there was nothing enjoyable about it at any level, and I didn't like it. And I don't like seeing other people go through that as well. What's necessary if you're wanting to get to that point is to work your way up to it. And diving in, you know, to a pool of lava doesn't really help. You have to kind of ease up into it, go a little hotter over time. And
so start with bell peppers, then start with ketchup, then start with Tabasco, then start with Valentina, then start with Tapatio, then start with Mexican hot sauce, the green one, then the red one.
The hottest Mexican I've ever had was something called guacamaya. That was hot, and it was way up there.
Yeah, you know what's up. We'll come on cam, but I don't know if you could see me. No, can't really see me. Smoke a lot, huh?
Yeah. Too much. Actually, any is too much. Unless, if we're talking about cigarettes, any is too much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sauces are good because they're consistent and universal. You know, if it's like he's going to get some habaneros, and his habaneros and mine are going to be different levels of heat. The variation is pretty extreme.
Why?
So, cause it's just like, you know, anything. You're growing a plant, the soil, the environment that it's developing in, these all contribute to the potency. The same way with grapes. You know, you want if you're making wine, You want to grow your grapes in like a moisture-starved environment where the grapes have to work harder to thrive, and that produces a better grape for wine. And it's similar with peppers. So whatever peppers he's going to get are going to be different than mine, and there's no way of knowing whether they're hotter or not. But if you're talking about like Yucateca or Tapatio or any of those are fairly consistent. So if it's like a competition kind of thing, you want everybody to be dealing with the same thing. That's not readily feasible with peppers, especially different parts of the world. I mean, habaneros are rated between 100,000 and 250,000 Scovilles. That's a pretty wide range.
Scovilles is such a weird word.
Yeah, and it's not scientific. It's very subjective. But yeah, jalapenos are a good start. Then go on up to Serrano, and on up and up and up. And once you start getting into the Nagas and things like that, you're in the danger zone no matter who you are. Because even if you can take the heat in your mouth, your body's still responding to it. And he was talking about a Reaper, and I'm like, dude.
Fuck no. Straight die.
I won't do it.
You won't?
Not a Reaper. Not eating a Reaper pepper outright. Nope. I know better.
Why not?
Well, that habanero, let's say that habanero I ate was at the low end of the scale, 100K. A Reaper is going to be 20 to 25 times as hot. So, nope.
What?
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
Yes, it is.
Yo, Zach.
Hey, bitch.
That's a good start.
How are you, my bitches?
We're bitching.
Get the fuck out of here, Anna. You're a bitch. There is 12 people in the other room, and there's no sound at all. And I can like have a conversation with you guys and be in the other room and not even be interrupted.
They're just sitting over there?
I'm gonna go and cause chaos. Couldn't do that, unfortunately.
He's back.
Welcome back.
He's back and black.
I don't know what it is, but I can't seem to see the chat on this thing.
It's busted for me too.
Yeah, likewise.
Wait, I'm gonna message something and let me see if you guys get a notification, okay?
It shows that you're typing, and it says I have 26 unread messages below, but by no means can I access them, and I don't get a notification.
Actually, I see your test message.
I saw Susan's earlier that said she was eating or something. Yeah, I see yours too.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Later.
Because you're a bunch of bitches.
Yeah, there's a few of those types in here, V. Just
No, you're. Yeah, I flow with it. I flow with it. It's all good. Like,
let me see if refreshing fixes it.
all right. Did it fix it, Jeremy?
9.
Yes. Well, I can see your message that said hello.
Yeah, it's mine. I don't have a good habit of paying attention to the chat like I should anyway. So
No worries.
Yeah, once you get 12 people in here, it's easy for the topic to drift, as you saw.
Yeah. One of my pet peeves is talking over people. So when that starts to happen, I just shut up.
It's funny you say that. I talk about that a lot.
Ken would have been enjoyable if he'd stuck around and continued. He's fun.
Oh yeah, I get that vibe.
A lot more flamboyant than I am.
No, actually, without being too weird, I really do admire your communication style. Before I became like an official member of the group, I remember being a blankie saying, "You have the best podcast voice I've ever heard."
Oh, I do?
Yeah, or like radio/podcast.
I've heard that before. Which is nice, because when I was younger, it was very nasally, and I'd hear my recordings of myself and be like, ugh.
That's how I feel about my voice now.
Jeremy, check Facebook.
Facebook, eh?
Dude, I came on here and I was just looking at you guys with like my cheeseburger smile. And everybody was like, "Hey, it's Abraham." No comment, just fucking smiling, like looking at you guys like, what the fuck is going on?
You know, V, my wife is an ISFJ.
Oh, cool.
I, however, am not skilled enough to be able to assist much in typing. I know INTJs, and to an extent I know INTPs and ISFJs, but not to the extent that I'm qualified to help type people.
Do you feel like you have to make proper distinctions between like types and gender? Like an ISFJ female versus an ISFJ male? Like, would you say that those are like two different types, even though they're the same type?
Effectively, no, but I would have to assume there are distinctions.
Yeah.
Because my view on it is that MBTI only encompasses a small aspect of one's personality, basically how your processor works. And there's a lot more to the machine than just the processor. And my chat just started working.
Yeah, same. Cool.
So I was in a group and was observing their discussions on it, and as a result I made an image that had like a giant circle and said "you" in the middle, and then down in the lower corner it had MBTI to kind of demonstrate there's a lot more going on than what MBTI encompasses.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, it doesn't tell you what kind of music you like, it doesn't address your experiences, it doesn't address your training, it doesn't address so much. But I am convinced there's something to it. I mean, I started watching videos of other INTJs talking candidly about their experiences and how they deal with things and the problems they have, and it was striking how similar they were to me, but the similarities were in realms that I've always felt unique and very different from everybody around me. So I'm like, holy crap, there's all these other people that have the same issues as I do and the same kind of tendencies. This is interesting.
Okay.
That's what convinced me, not the tests, but actually hearing other people that have been categorized with the same type as me. That's where I started to really consider this stuff. What do you want?
It's a good thought.
Oh, he wants your love.
I think he's looking for snacks.
You're wrong in thinking that. He just wants some FE.
Well, that's what Mama's for. I like to aggravate him.
Like good old FI. Her name is host Sammy.
We'll make Sammy the admin.
And we'll have people bitch at her for kicking people. Wait, what is this link? Oh, shit.
Es ist dem Fall gelungen, die Front in breiter Formation zu besprechen.
I'll have to check that out later. Let me ask you a question, V. Is there a particular type that you are wanting to be?
I don't think so. I think before I started to communicate with the group, I was kind of assuming I was an ISFJ. So kind of just validated that a little bit.
So when you run across something that challenges that, how would I put this? You're somewhat resistant to that?
I'm not fully resistant. I have a bit more open-mindedness. I'm open-minded for the most part, but I try. You made a good point when you're talking about not just relying on like the test, but relying on how real life people kind of interact and kind of live out their type, and not just rely on stereotypes that most blogs and tests are probably going to perpetuate. So I try to do the same thing, and based on my experience, I would say ISFJ, just from living it out and understanding how other people are living it out, seems to fit. And I think just based on more conversations, I would say, I think it's safe to kind of go along with that. So.
See, I see a lot of people online that obviously desire the INTJ classification.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Okay.
And what I see a lot of, and I'm actually a little bit hostile towards it, is they'll learn the stereotypes, and then either they aren't an INTJ and they try to bend and exemplify the stereotypes to prove that they're the type they want to be, or they are an INTJ and they take the stereotypes as the way they're supposed to be and they don't grow beyond that. It's like doggy paddling in a circle around those ideas rather than developing themselves, and that bugs me.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I can see how that can bug anyone, really. For me, I always, I practice being true to myself, and I can see why people would gravitate towards the thinking personality types like INTP or ENTP or INTJ, ENTJ. Being in the United States of America, like, thinking is, I think, more validated and encouraged than feeling. So it makes sense why someone would want to identify as an INTJ or INTP. But
I disagree because I feel like in the United States, personal relations are valued more than thinking.
Wait, what did you just say? Well, everyone wants people.
Can you guys?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I mean, for me, for a large amount of my life, people have called me antisocial, and like being alone and wanting to be isolated is somehow negative, and that's bad. You shouldn't do that. And I'm like, it's just how I am.
The introverts are classically known as our creative thinkers.
They're pretty creative, man.
But over the past 50 or so years, we've been pushed into the idea that it's always better to be extroverted.
Yeah.
Audra, you're here. Audra, you're finally here.
Yeah.
Finally here again. Mm-hmm.
Was here earlier. For a brief period.
Hey, buddy boy, what you doing?
I was watching Hitler react
Hi,
to
cutie.
Taylor situation.
I saw that too.
That was funny.
It's funny when they're like, "Oh, X person will hook us up with a gram."
What you looking at? You cutie. Come here. I want to love you. Hey.
Where's Toast Sammy?
That's right, I got you. I got you.
He's at my feet.
Hey. Why are you so jumpy? Alright, you wanna go outside? Let's go outside. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, that was a mood shift.
No? Now you don't want to go outside? Well, what the fuck?
Wow.
Fine, fuck you.
It's like, I don't know what I want.
You guys enjoying the show?
I want some M&Ms.
I want M&M on my cock.
Nice.
Right? I want some M&M so I can get Abe on my cock. No, I'm just kidding. Jeez, that was fucking weird. Alright. Sorry, I'm kind of uppity because I just got back from like a bit of a jog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
No reason to apologize. I like Morse code. It reminds me of childhood.
What'd you have, like the ham radio and all that shit?
My father did.
Or, do you guys do the CB radio and all that and fucking ham? Right? Is that the same thing? Ham radio and CB radio?
No, CB is Citizens Band, and anybody can use it with, like, I think a 5-watt limit on broadcast strength. And ham radio is rigidly defined bands way beyond that. You have different levels of broadcast strength that you can implement, and you have to be licensed.
If you're not licensed, can they track? Well, of course they can track you, right? Because that's
They
being
can track.
transmitted from a central location.
Do they is another question, and I can't really speak to that.
Right.
And there's rules. You can't broadcast music, and some other.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's not like somebody can just block you, right? You can't just block a transmitter, right?
No, and depending on the atmospheric conditions, your broadcasts can bounce all over the globe.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody is touting themselves as a prepper and they disregard ham radio, they're really negligent in their duties.
Yeah.
I've actually even considered trying to set up a situation where somebody can interact with a BBS using Morse code with paddles. So they could literally pull up the frequency and log into a BBS and interact with it using Morse code.
BBS?
Yeah, I'm showing my age. BBSs were, in the late 70s. Actually, they came about in 78, but during the 80s and early 90s, you would dial into them. It's just a computer with a modem hooked up to it. You could dial into it, and it was, terminal based. And
so it was networking via just just like a direct connection. You would dial someone's phone, basically.
Yeah, they would have a computer in their closet with a modem, and you would dial into it, and then they would be running software that would present you with like a login prompt, and you would log in, and you could download files. And if it was a multi-node board, multiple phone lines, you could actually interact with each other using text. That's where I cut my teeth before the internet was publicly available the way it is now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those were the days, because you'd be talking to people at like this right now. It's like 3 a.m, and you guys are all over the world. We can't say, hey, let's go to Waffle House.
Right.
That's not feasible. But back then, there was a proximity to the people that you were interacting with, because if you were dialing long distance, that got expensive, and you generally dialed local boards. So the people that you were interacting with were, 2, 3, 4 miles away. And
gotta check the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. Abe, do you want me to show you my ass again?
No. I'll answer that question for everyone. BBSs were nice. But it's not funny. It's actually rather sad. Once internet access became available, and I'm not talking about like AOL and Prodigy and stuff, but you could dial directly into an ISP.
Right. Yeah.
BBSs died in like 2 months. Like the entire scene completely collapsed. Everybody went over to the internet, and all the BBSs died.
All right. Well, I apologize, guys. I'm not very entertained right now. I'm going to watch some TV.
All right.
You take it easy.
Later. Are you not entertained? Okay, so here we go. So, Via, is this a scenario where you're running the risk of getting in trouble for doing this kind of thing on the job?
No, not quite. Only if there are people present, and there's no one in here but me in this building.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yesterday, there was one other person I knew was in the computer lab, so did not communicate verbally because of it.
Are you like in a support capacity?
Say it again.
Are you working in like a technical support capacity?
Not technical support. More so, the title was switchboard operator. So, it's more of an emergency support kind of thing. Usually for third shift, it's gonna more than likely be quiet unless there's something going on campus that's an emergency, and therefore I would communicate through the proper channels, or I look at my handy dandy camera system and see some shenanigans going on, and I let the officer know who's on duty.
Shenanigans.
Yep. being at a Christian university, there's surprisingly only a few shenanigans, but still shenanigans nonetheless. Sometimes. Yep, but for the most part, it's peace and quiet. So
I worked a job where I was weekends 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. on Friday and Saturday night, and it was pretty much dead. So I just sat around watching videos all the time.
Yep, sounds about right.
But then I had to work 2-day shifts during the week, so I could never get my sleep on track.
Oh man, that sounds terrible. Yeah, I came in at 10 and I get off at 6 a.m. So it's not too bad.
And then you have classes during the week?
Yeah, for the summer semester, it's mostly just online though. I have one class that meets every other week, but that class is on Monday. Well, tonight I guess, but my Monday class meets in the evening time, so I have time to kind of prep for it and rest and stuff. So.
Well, I'm sitting here struggling with cascading style sheets, which I'm not terribly familiar with.
Style sheets, what are those?
Well, with web design, style sheets they're basically documents that define how different elements in a page are to be displayed. It separates the design and layout from the content itself. So you set up your style sheets, and then when you plug your content in, it applies however the style sheets dictate to the way it's presented. And they can be complicated, and it's not a skill that I'm practiced in, so I'm like having to struggle my way through it.
Okay. Is it like for a project you're working on, or just like?
Well, right now I'm working on my own website, so I have a goal I'm trying to reach, so that gives me the motivation to work through this stuff. I hate this kind of stuff. It's tedious, and I think if I were practiced in it and were more familiar with it, it wouldn't be so cumbersome, but it's not something I've developed a high level of experience with yet. The floof. Oh, here we go. Huh. So do you have like camera feeds that you're monitoring for people knocking over dust bins and things like that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Big brother.
Yeah. That's that statement is more a reflection of the department than me. But yeah, campus safety is very much Big Brother. It's kind of creepy.
It's ubiquitous these days, though. I think she wants food.
You've already.
At least you get to recreate while you're on the job.
Yeah. Remember, a couple years ago, I worked as a direct care worker for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And that job was also a third shift job for me, and it was very much, required a lot more of mine. Less recreation, I'll just say that. I had to be a little more focused on that job.
Yeah, more demanding of your attention.
Yeah, for sure.
The dogs are getting needy.
See. How many dogs do you have?
7. Welcome to Animal Rescue.
Wow.
They just tend to keep piling up.
Very thoughtful of you guys, I guess.
Yeah, more my wife than I. She runs the rescue.
Nice.
Been doing it about 4 years now.
Yeah.
5? Yeah.
August will be my 5-year anniversary.
Says a lot about you guys.
Yeah, but it can be frustrating.
I believe that.
Worst part is dealing with people.
How so?
Well, some people are abusive, some people are negligent, and some people are just mean.
Yeah.
And you'd be shocked at how many people in animal rescue are offensive and attacking of other people in rescue that don't do things exactly the way they want, or they have a personal beef, and a lot of mentally unstable people get involved, and it can be taxing.
I believe it.
And we see some pretty horrid stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
Just goes with the territory.
Yeah. You feel like animal abuse is kind of related to a human's like desire for control?
Maybe. I guess there's probably a spectrum of issues that contribute to that. Indifference is probably a big factor whenever that's occurring. And you have different kinds of abuse. You have like the deliberate, willful harm to the animal, like tying it to the back of a car and dragging it around for a few miles. You've got negligence, and disregard, which is a slightly different thing. A lack of empathy probably feeds a lot into that. Treating animals like furniture or toys you put away when you're not interested and don't feed them or get the medical attention. Which is another one. People not, getting them to the vet when they need and letting problems go unaddressed for too long, and just a lack of acknowledgement of the suffering that goes along with some of that. So it's probably a wide variety of things.
Oh, yeah. Sounds a lot like individuals not being properly educated, with the animals that they have.
Yeah, even you're not born with all of the knowledge of how to deal with these things. It's something that you have to develop, and there's not a great deal of that going on, and kind of have to be careful when it comes to bringing that to people's attention, because nobody wants to be attacked or, you know, made to feel like they're wrong, even if they are. You know, you don't want to trigger a response that shuts them down and then they don't fix their issues. And that goes for all of us. You know, it's a lot easier to go buy a dog than it is to maintain one properly, and that requires education.
Sure.
You don't want to make people resistant to that. There was a quote, I can't remember who said it, but it was something to the effect of, it's amazing how much resistance people will put up against the introduction of useful information. And I see a lot of that in animal rescue.
This doesn't seem like pet ownership is like regulated enough. Would you agree with that? Like,
Kentucky has the worst laws.
Yeah, we live in Kentucky, and the animal abuse laws here are pretty, well, I'll just say minimal. Yeah. I usually will do what I can to not get behind solving problems with laws. There's negative externalities and unintended consequences. Like, for instance, there was one city that passed an ordinance that if I recall, it was intended to shore up people not taking care of their animals. But what the law did was basically say, if you're feeding a cat, it's your cat.
Oh, okay.
And you're then accountable for the animal. Well, people were feeding feral, wild cats.
Mm-hmm.
And that discouraged people from continuing to do that. So the unintended consequences, you had a lot of starving cats who didn't have a proper owner. They're just, wild animals, basically. And, I'll resort to legal measures as an absolute last resort when possible. But it's the easy answer in a lot of cases. That's why people gravitate towards it. Just let the government, let the state deal with this. And the only way they deal with it is with a stick. So I'm not going to be eager to jump on regulation, but when it comes to, dealing with abuse, that's their job. It's not my job to go to the neighbor's house and find them if they're doing something wrong. That does fall on the government. Okay. There's no easy answers.
Yeah, true.
It's been interesting talking to Suzanne about it, because she's in Norway and they have a very different set of circumstances there than we have here. I should talk to her more about that.
Well, even in Michigan, they don't have a pet overpopulation problem.
Yeah,
That's where all the animals go.
And my wife is saying in Michigan they don't have the kind of overpopulation that we have here.
Gotcha.
In the South. We do a lot of transports where we'll have an abundance of available animals and a drought. It's like supply and demand. There's just not as many adopters as there are animals to be adopted. So we'll be involved in transports where, like, we'll drive a dog from here to, like, Cincinnati, and then somebody else will pick the dog up in Cincinnati and drive it up to the next city, and the next city up to where there is a demand. And evidently Michigan is a place where there's a higher demand than there's a supply, or relatively speaking.
Okay.
So it's actually up north in general. Yeah. Most of our transports go from, especially like Alabama and Georgia and places like that, on up into the northern states.
Oh.
And that requires organization and cooperation.
Never knew that.
Yeah, I think the figure, if it's accurate, it's probably a good estimate, is that about 5,500 dogs a day are killed in shelters because there's no space for them and nobody to adopt them.
Man, that's sad.
Yep. I don't take the extreme that they're the equivalent of people. but they're definitely more valuable than like cars and objects like that. You know, they experience. They have a capacity to suffer.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, so I need to see 3x4. Well, I think I'm going to jump off here for the night. I'll catch you next time.
Hey, see you, man. Peace.
Be good.